Real estate is one of the best ways to build wealth, but it's still a business. And one of the biggest mistakes new investors make is not taking tenant screening and management seriously. This is one of my properties after we had to evict a tenant. Today, I'm gonna show you exactly what happened here and the lessons I learned from my first eviction so you don't have to end up dealing with something like this. For those of you that don't know, besides running businesses, I also invest in real estate. And one of the realities of owning rental properties is that sometimes things don't go according to plan. In this case, when we first screened the tenants, everything checked out. She was a single mom with 3 kids. She made over 100 grand a year. She was very responsive during the application process. She even showed up in person and paid my assistant the deposit in cash. So at the beginning, everything looked good. But the first sign of trouble started about 3 months into the lease. That's when the rent started coming in late. She told me she will pay on the 15th to give her a little bit extra time. The payment didn't come in. Then she asked me for another week. I gave her the extra week, but again, the payment didn't come through. At that point, the month had already ended. She was already 2 months behind on rent. So I had to be a little firm and tell her if she didn't pay, I would have to begin the eviction process. I had to get a little firm with her because I know once you start to be lenient with people, they take advantage of you. But she called me and told me that she had lost her job because of a sickness. And honestly, it pulled on my heartstrings. So I gave her an extra month. During that second month, she made a payment of about $500. That showed me good faith that she was trying to catch up on her payments. But one of the red flags that I immediately noticed, besides her falling behind, was that she paid with a Chime bank account. And I believe Chime allows you to pay with credit cards. And that's the moment I realized something is not right here. Because if somebody is paying rent with credit cards, that makes me believe that they're digging a deeper hole, especially if they're late on their rent. This was my first eviction, so I decided to try handling it myself. I went online, did some research, and I learned that in California, you have to serve what's called a 3-day pay or quit notice, which basically means the tenant has 3 days to pay what they owe you or quit their lease. So I sent one of my assistants to put this notice on their door, in their mailbox, and try to give it to them in person. Of course, they didn't answer. And I let the 3 days pass, no payment. At that point, I decided to hire an eviction attorney. The attorney's cost was $2,500 just to get started on the case. And of course, more bad news came. When he reviewed everything we have done, he told me something that I didn't want to hear. The notice that I served wasn't done correctly, so it was invalid and it couldn't be used in court. So we had to start the process all over again, extending the time frame. This time, the attorney served the notice correctly and filed everything with the courts. But here's the other reality of real estate. It took 5 months just to get a hearing in San Bernardino County. That's 5 months without rent. When the hearing finally came, we won the case and the tenant agreed to move out. But by that point, the damage had already been done. She owed about $17,000 in rent and another $3,000 in utilities. And when we finally got possession of the property and opened the door, this is what we walked into. Trash everywhere, damaged walls, broken appliances, just complete neglect of the property. But stick around, because I'm also going to show you the key lessons I learned from this situation so you can avoid something like this happening to you. The biggest lesson from this experience were these. Lesson number 1, meet tenants in person. Now, whenever I decide to move forward with a new tenant, I want to make sure I meet everybody who plans to move in. You want to understand who you're renting and make sure that they're going to treat the property with respect. Trust me, you can learn so much from your new tenants by having simple conversations. Like, what do they do on the weekends, or what kind of hobbies are they into? Lesson number 2, much deeper screening. Our screening process is now much more thorough. We verify employment, we verify previous landlords, we conduct background checks on everyone who's over the age of 18 that is planning to move in. We want to make sure we're looking for stability. Don't rush this process. You're better off waiting another month for a good tenant than losing $20,000 on the wrong one. The other big lesson is do not let your emotions dictate your decisions. If someone tells you that they're going to pay the rent on a certain date and they don't do it, that's the beginning of the end. Because now you allowed that behavior to continue. In real estate, you have to be firm and consistent. And sure, I get it. There's times that the economy is a little bit bad and they might fall behind on their rent. But if a tenant tells you that they're gonna pay on a certain day and they don't stick to their word, that shows you who they are. This is the reality of real estate. Success in this business isn't about avoiding problems. It's about learning how to manage them. Good operators take bad situations, fix it, and turn the property back into an asset. So immediately, we fixed the property, put it back on the market, and now we got some phenomenal tenants who pay on time, treat the property well, and we're back on track. I share the wins, the mistakes, and the lessons that come from actually doing this in real life. So if you're interested in learning more about real estate and how to be a great operator, whether you're running a business or trying to get into business, make sure you subscribe.